My name is Ben Lyons. I am the founder of Lockewood Acres along with my wife, and we came to Vacaville in 2010, and I didn't grow up to be a farmer. I became one out of necessity. The downturn in the economy, I was unable to secure work in the area, so I was afraid of going hungry, and I started a little vegetable plot. And it was all inspired. In the move, I found this 1954 California earthworm publication that talked about earthworms and how they revitalize the soil. But my interest was in worms for fishing because I like to fish. But in the center of that publication was this thing called Security Acres, and it talks about self-sustainability, which I was very concerned about, biodynamic principles, organic practices, regenerative properties, all these buzzwords you hear now, not necessarily in those terms, but a very descriptive paragraph at that centerfold when centerfolds were a thing. It was in a map dated 1948. So all those things have really come full circle back to where we're trying to get back at now. We're clean soil, clean food, and nutrient-dense food. So my goal was self-sustainability just for my wife and I, but it turned into a lot more when you start producing like that. But on a commercial scale, it's very difficult to produce enough to generate the cash flow that you really need to pay for labor, pay for things that you can't grow here, like coffee and chocolate. So those are about the only two things I really need. Everything else I can get by with. We make our own wine, we make our own cheese, we make our own, I can't sell it to you because according to the California government, it'll all kill you, but I'm not dead. After the season is done, we try and till in as much organic matter as possible. And then we prep the soil with the remaining compost that we have. And then I run it over with a cover crop, which is a legume cover crop. So it has cowpeas, vetch, fava beans, and bell beans. And the reason for the legumes, one, it breaks down early in spring. Two, it adds a little bit of nitrogen. And three, the main purpose of the cover crop is to add organic matter. And, I was not truly a believer in the beginning because I knew nothing. I started out at zero. But after 15 years of continually doing this, you can definitely see the difference in the soil structure from other spots on the property where I've done nothing. So it's come from a clay brick to a basically very nice tilthy soil. Farming, or this whole circle of life, has come in a full circle because I started selling vegetables at 5 years old, going around to the neighbors in Antelope Acres in a little red wagon, going around to the neighbors selling my dad's vegetables that were left over from the garden. So, I got out of that, went to school, and it came full circle back in, 2010, where now my wagon's a little bit bigger, but I'm hawking my vegetables across Solano County now. Innovation. Well, necessity is the mother of all innovation or invention. So when we got here, the economy was in tank. We had no money, but I had time. And I found anything that I thought I might be able to use, I would pick it up and store it. And there's nothing like that satisfaction of knowing that, oh, I have that, I'll go get it. That's pretty much how we developed Lockewood Acres. It was all done off, garage sales, Craigslist, barter, blood, sweat, and tears. The CSA model was my inspiration to go into farming as, a viable cash income. So I modeled my farm after a guy named James Fortier, who wrote the book called The Market Gardener. And he was out of Quebec, Canada, very short season. But his claim to fame was that he had an acre and a quarter and he could make $100,000. CSA was the base of that with a 200 membership. And so he was pulling down 100 grand. I got 10 acres, I'll make $1 million. I did not make $1 million. I did not make 100,000 yet, but I did spend it. And we continue to innovate and, try and generate that CSA model. But it's, in all marketing sense, it's a beautiful model, because the CSA model back then was you pay up front and you're basically buying an insurance policy for your family to have food throughout the season. It was also an insurance policy for the farmer, so they had their money up front in case there was any catastrophes or weather events or insects that, things. 1 year I had, after the Ellen View fire, I had all the deer come down off the hill and wipe me out. I had nothing left. So you just never know what's going to happen. So the CSA model is a great business model. It's just fallen out of favor, so because corporations and large farms have made it so easy. And that's life in in a free market where they make it easy for the customer. So I love the model. I just need to get better at marketing the model and educating the public about what the CSA model is and how it benefits both the farmer and the community. Financing of farms is a very difficult question, because land is probably the most expensive part, and in order to farm you need land. And I think that's the stumbling block for beginning farmers, is access to land. And California is probably one of the greatest places to grow crops for eating, or for just crops in general, really, because of the Mediterranean climate is ideal for all that type of production. But it makes for very, very expensive land. And after the bank debacle in 2010, we keep coming back to that thing, but it really shows you how much control banks have over your life. And they did nothing to help, people like us. So we got passed over while they saved their bacon, and then we paid the price. So it's financing for that type of stuff. I mean, you really need to have farmers that have land to keep that in farmland, and not allow the government to take it over through death tax and all this other stuff. These farms and land need to be preserved so that the next generation can farm it, even if they don't farm it, because farming ain't easy. And I started late in life, so I'm paying the price because I did not take care of my body to prepare for farming. So I'm not complaining. I just, hindsight's 2020. I would have done a few things different. Grants for me have always been out there. I mean, they're very difficult to obtain, but my thought was that, it's my money. I might as well get it, and I'll try, and I apply for everything. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. But the grants basically pushed me to do things that I wouldn't have done normally. I would have done it eventually, but it pushed it to the forefront and then gave me that incentive to do things like we got grant money for a retention pond to hold water on the property and refill the aquifers. We got a grant for pollination rows to encourage the bees to overwinter and have different items to forage with. We did a study with the University of Davis on the viability of elderberries. So we planted a bunch of elderberries to generate that income and see if it was commercially viable, of which it is. We did, I did a solar project, we did a hoop house project, all with the stimulus of government money that helped me go down those avenues. On the self-sustainable model, we wanted to produce everything. So, I mean, we have wine grapes, juice grapes, table grapes, blackberries, high density row of olives. We have animals. We have pork, sheep, chickens for eggs, pork for bacon. Lambs were supposed to be the lawn mowers, and then we eat the boys and keep the girls. Seasonally, we're in the peak of what, you know, is the best part of the season. You know, late June, August, September, and then September things change into the winter crops, which would be storage items like spaghetti squash, acorn. What else do I have out there? Butternut, delicatas. But here we have everything. So we've got jalapenos, we've got serranos, okra, eggplant, Japanese, Italian, shishito peppers. We have bell peppers, red, yellow, green, 2 different types of white figs, blackberries I told you about. We've got tomatoes, all kinds of different varieties, heirlooms, early girls. We have one tomato that was brought over in the early 1900s by an Italian family in Santa Rosa, the Bortellis. And so I grow that particular Roma style tomato. Selling is done either on the farm, at farmers market, through restaurants, and eventually we'll have a legitimate farm stand if the county will give us that rite of passage. Well, I knew I should have got a tractor sooner. But the things are trading back to, you know, no-till, even though you still need a tractor to do that. I think I would have got a bucket on my tractor sooner, and I had found one, and I just never put the time into putting it onto the tractor. But that bucket is worth its weight in gold.
In what way?
In what? Just moving stuff around the farm, picking it up, you know, putting weeds in there, putting compost to the field, you know, putting all that excess stuff into the bucket and dumping it to the pigs. I mean, it's just, a bucket on a tractor is probably the best accessory you can have. And that was something I learned late on. I mean, 10 years after that. And I picked it up for $1,300. And I just never got around to putting it on there. Being diligent on utilizing that cover crop and compost. I didn't think that, you know, that hokey additive to the soil would actually work. But it works like a charm. But it does take time. But it's, if you do it consistently, it definitely does change that soil configuration. The grapevines that I planted actually came off the nut tree that was the display garden along the freeway before they developed that later on in like 2015, late 2010s. But they didn't even know what they had, so they hired me to take the vines off there. I recycled all that, the posts, the wire, the irrigation, some of the fittings, and then all those vines. And there was actually some tags on it, so we found out exactly what it was, that it was Cabernet. And so I got 5-year-old vines in 1 year. I dug some up in January and then put them directly in the ground. 98% of those died. The ones I was going to sell on Craigslist and put in a box with some sawdust, come April, they started pushing buds. So I planted those. 98% of those took. So it was a gamble, but one system worked, the other one didn't.